Musakhan. Hey guys, today we're serving up an Arabian feast for you. We're making Palestinian Sumac chicken with Taboon bread and caramelized onions. This dish is delicious. Here's a list of ingredients that you'll need to make the Musakhan, which consists of the Taboon bread, the caramelized onion sauce, and the roasted sumac chicken. First, we get started on making our Taboon bread. Taboon refers to the traditional clay oven that is usually used to make this bread, but in this recipe we're using a conventional oven. So to make the Taboon bread, we're going to sift both the flours into a bowl. We have 10.5 ounce, that's just over 1 1/4 cups of plain flour. We're going to sift that first and add it to the bowl. Followed by 7 ounces of bread flour, that's just over 3/4 of a cup. So once you've sifted both the flours, you want to add zatar spice. Zatar is an Arabian spice and herb mix. I have the recipe link in the description. So we're adding 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of zaatar spice, as well as 1 teaspoon of instant or fast-acting yeast, as well as a teaspoon of salt, and a tablespoon of sugar. Set that aside. In a separate bowl, we're going to combine warm water with olive oil. $325 ml of warm water and a 1/4 cup of olive oil here. So now we can add the water solution to the dried ingredients and stir to completely mix the flour into a soft and sticky dough. Now once we have a sticky dough, we can cover the bowl with a damp cloth and leave to prove for 10 minutes. I have also measured 7 ounces of bread flour separately, and I keep this aside for later. While the bread is being proofed, we can start on our sumac chicken. First, we need to marinate the chicken. Clean the chicken well, split the chicken into 2 halves or 4 sections, rinse and drain well, and we're going to marinate with the juice of 2 small limes and a little bit of olive oil. Just rub it into the chicken and set that aside. And please note, we are using chicken with skin and bone intact. Now our dough has rested for 10 minutes and proved. We can turn this out onto a floured surface. Flour your hands as well. Add just enough of the reserved flour to be able to knead the dough. Knead for about 10 minutes. The dough will still be sticky and shiny. You can use a dough scraper to help you kneading the sticky dough. Usually I end up using all the reserved flour. After kneading the dough for 8 to 10 minutes, oil a separate bowl well. Also oil your hands. Turn out the dough into the oiled bowl and turn a couple of times so that the entire surface is oiled. Smoothen the surface and then cover with cling wrap and leave for 1 hour till the dough has risen, almost doubled in size. While the dough is rising, we can chop our onions and start making the roasted sumac chicken. Heat 2 to 4 tablespoons of olive oil in a pot large enough to hold both the chicken and the broth that we're going to be making. About 4 cups of broth. Add the onions and saute till just softened. Once the onions have softened, we can add our lightly marinated chicken and toss in the sauteed onions briefly. You want the chicken skin to absorb the flavor and aroma of the sauteed onions. And you also want the skin to develop a nice golden brown color. Now pour in enough water to just cover the chicken. Since I'm using a smaller pot, I only need 4 cups of water, and using a smaller pot just big enough to contain the chicken and the broth is advised. Now we can add our cardamom powder, salt and pepper. That's 1 1/4 teaspoons of ground green cardamom, 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt, and 1 1/4 teaspoons of black pepper powder. Bring to boil on high, then cover, reduce the heat to low and cook for 30 minutes. You can skim off any scum that appears on the top of the surface of the broth occasionally. After you've covered the pot with the chicken and left it to simmer, you can start to prepare the onion sauce. To a medium-sized non-stick pan, we're going to add 4 tablespoons of olive oil. To this, add 3 large onions that have been chopped. Now on a medium heat, slowly cook and reduce the onions till very soft and cooked. We need to cook around 15 to 20 minutes on a very low flame till the onions are considerably reduced. Be careful on this step, you don't want to burn your onions. Make sure the heat is on low. After the onions have reduced considerably and is a nice golden brown color, we now add a few ladles of the chicken stock from the cooked chicken into the onions and allow this to simmer. Now we're going to remove the chicken from the broth in the other pot, add it to the simmering onion sauce, and cook for just 3 minutes on both sides. And then we transfer just the chicken to an oven-proof and oiled dish and sprinkle with some sumac. Have your oven preheated to high heat around 230 degrees Celsius and place the chicken in the oven closer to the top grill so that we can sort of broil the chicken. We're going to roast just till the skin is crisp and deep golden brown. The time may vary, please check on this. It may take 10 to 15 minutes. You don't want to overcook the chicken and render it dry. Once the chicken is roasted to perfection, allow it to cool. You can either serve it as it is with the taboon bread and the onion sauce separately, or you can shred and serve it as I do in this video. And now we can continue making our caramelized onion sauce. So to the caramelized onion remaining in the pan, we're going to add a little bit more of the stock from the cooked chicken. Add as much as you need to get a nice thick sauce. Just allow that to simmer. And to this, add 1 to 2 tablespoons of sumac according to your taste and a little bit of salt and pepper. Sumac is a sour flavor, so taste and add accordingly. Our chicken and our sauce is ready. Our dough has risen and is ready to be made into the taboon breads. As you can see, the dough has risen considerably. Lightly flour your hands and knock down the dough gently. Divide into 6 equal portions. Roll each ball on a floured surface into around 8 centimeter roundish shape. It doesn't have to be perfect circles. I rather love the rustic look. Once you've rolled out all your breads, 6 breads, you want to lay them on lightly floured pieces of cloth like this. And once all 6 of the breads are laid on the cloth like this, we can spritz them with a water spray very lightly. And sprinkle over with zaatar spice as well as some sumac. I usually omit the zaatar in this step and sprinkle only a little bit of sumac. You can do this according to your taste. And once all the breads are prepared like this, leave to cool for another 15 to 30 minutes. Meanwhile, we have the oven preheated to a maximum temperature. Again, placing a piece of stone or an old pan or tray inside. It needs to get nice and hot on the bottom rack. We're going to cook our breads in the oven. Alternatively, you can cook on the stovetop in a pan, but I prefer this method to get a nice soft bread. According to the size of your tray or your oven, you can place 1 to 3 pieces of bread at a time. I'm only going to place 1 bread at a time to show you on a piece of stone. As soon as the bread is laid inside, we can close quickly and allow it to puff up and get golden. You can cook briefly on the second side as well. To make it easy to flip the bread onto the piece of stone or tray, you can just flip over the cloth like this and peel the cloth away. Give it a gentle press with the cloth to help it puff quicker. So while each of our breads is being baked in this method, we can toast some pine nuts as well as sunflower seeds. Use whatever is available. This is going to be our garnish on top of the finished musakhan. I have toasted the pine nuts as well as sunflower seeds. The breads turn out quite soft and supple. You don't want to cook them too long that they become hard. Now we can start to assemble our musakhan. We want to dip each of the breads inside the remaining broth in the pot. Don't leave it in the broth too long. You just want to soak it nicely or you might tear your breads. Lay it in an oiled casserole dish or whatever dish you're using for baking. Add a thin layer of the caramelized onion sauce on top. And some shredded chicken over it. And we're going to repeat this with the layers of bread, soaking each layer of bread before you apply the caramelized onion sauce and another layer of chicken. For the final bread, we don't top it with chicken, we just add some caramelized onion sauce. And we can add the toasted nuts as well. If you like, you can also bake each bread separately. Something like a pizza by baking it with the caramelized onions. We do soak it just as before. Add some of the caramelized onion sauce and top it with the chicken and bake it with the sprinkling of the nuts. So you can decide which method you like. We much prefer the one in the casserole dish because it stays nice and moist. Sprinkle the top with a little bit of sumac. Bake in the preheated oven in the covered casserole dish for about 20 minutes till the bread looks golden from the sides. If you're just baking on a single piece of bread, you can just bake for 5 to 8 minutes. It should be more than enough. Serve this musakhan with baba ganoush, the Arabian eggplant dip, or you can serve it with toom or any type of garlic sauce or extra onion sauce. I also leave the remaining broth on the side for anyone who'd like to take a dip of that. This dish may seem complicated, but there's very few ingredients and it comes together quite simply if you have planned ahead of time. It's absolutely delicious. We hope you try the recipe. Tell us what kind of recipe videos you'd like to see in the future. Thanks for watching. Bye.